and thanks for joining us for Education 101. This is a special back-to-school edition of this program, and I'm Carol Birdsong, Communications Director for Williamson County Schools. As we prepare you for back-to-school, you need to know everything about transportation in Williamson County Schools. So joining me for the conversation is John Hancock, our
Hi,
Transportation Director. Hello, John, and thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
And Allison Nunley, who is our routing specialist and
Hi,
oversees all the software, right, Allison?
I do.
And all the bus routes and such. So it's an exciting time. It won't be long. The yellow buses will be out on the roads. I guess they really never stop, do they, John? But
No, now they go almost all the summer. They have various programs, and you have the SAC programs that take field trips. And there's a lot of extended school year. A lot of those things just continue right on, just like summertime wasn't here.
it never stops. The
Never
department,
stops.
the department that never sleeps. Anyway, but we do transport a rather large number of students. We have a big fleet. So can you
we
talk
do.
about that for us?
Yeah, we transport on an average day about 18,500 students. We have over 21,000, I think, Allison, signed up for transportation. So on any given day, the 18,000 of those would be on the buses. And that doesn't include the field trips or special activities that they are over and above that. We've got a large clientele that we travel at. We'll have, some years we'll have as many as 1,800 field trips. in a
Oh my
year.
goodness.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's a lot. How many buses do we have that transport these students?
We have 248 buses, and we have 184 regular education routes and 38 special education routes. So we have, 221, 222 total routes. Now each one of those routes, with the exception of the special education, run 4 segments. They run a high school and middle, high school middle, and then they double back and run a elementary.
Okay.
And then
And that's actually why our school schedule is the way it is, right?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely. It gives us 2 distinct bell times and gives us enough time in between the bell times to make the routes and accommodate the students, get those home, and then do the other route. It puts a lot of miles on our buses. We'll run about 18,000 miles, 17,000 miles, on any given day, or 3.1 million miles a year,
Wow.
Wow.
which is I think we figured at one time it was 7 trips. No, it's 6.5 round trips to the moon a year.
Oh my
that
goodness.
we drive these buses
Oh wow. So to the moon and back. All right.
six
Wow.
6.5 times.
Oh well, and the person who actually creates all those routes is Allison.
Yeah.
And so she works closely with the transportation department
I do.
to make sure that we operate efficiently as best we can. So talk about what that is like, Allison, when you're creating routes.
Well, we just look at the capacity of the buses and the number of students assigned in an area. Our goal every school year is to start off with no buses overloaded. So what we've worked on all summer is where we had some maybe buses getting a little more crowded in the spring. Relieving those. We've put 2 new growth buses on for this year, so we're actually increasing our fleet by 2 general education buses than what we ended last school year.
Did those go in a certain area, or is there a certain area where we're seeing more growth of bus riders? Or
You know, what I'm seeing is more growth in the northeast area of our county. It used to be always in the south, but right now it's in the northeast area of the county. That's not necessarily exactly where these 2 buses went. One went there. We also have a large number of rising 9th graders from the Franklin Special School District this year.
Oh.
Larger number than we've had in the past.
Okay.
So we're working to accommodate them.
Okay, so what's it like putting together those routes? You have a computer system that aids you.
Yes, we do. We use routing software from Education Logistics, and I work very closely with our dispatchers and route coordinators in transportation so that we're all on the same page with what our routes need to be doing and should be doing.
And John, I guess was it a year ago or 2 years ago when um, we said we're going to keep those routes under an hour?
This would be
It
our
was, last year was the first
Yeah,
year we started
okay.
that, and
All right.
that was an initiative and goal set by the district. It's very challenging to do that, and it does take a few more people and buses to do it. But with the help of the routing program and Allison, we were able to do that. Now that's on a perfect scenario, and that's not from bail time to get home time. That's from the time the bus pulls out of the parking lot till they get home, which is actually ride time.
Okay.
And it's been received extremely well by the parents. Of course, you always have days where you have traffic jams and different situations out there that cause the buses to be late, and some of them. So it's public transportation, but it is our goal, and our routing is under an hour.
And what's the state law?
Well,
or
a student
maximum
can
ride.
ride an hour and a half.
Okay. But the district wanted to make sure that we
Right.
weren't going over an hour.
That's correct.
Okay.
And vast majority ride much less than that.
Right.
You're talking out in our rural areas that our routes are 45 minutes to 60 minutes.
Okay. All right. Talk about, John, bus drivers. And, it seems like we've honestly been struggling to fill those positions.
We have all the districts in the state and other states also are struggling to maintain good, competent drivers and to hire them, recruit them, and hire them. It's not something that's unique to us, but it's certainly a challenge. A driver is a responsible job. You have a lot of responsibility.
You do. It's difficult. It is a
Probably as
difficult
much
job.
as anyone in the school district, because you have the traffic to contend with, and the road situation. Then you have the students that have to be monitored to the extent that you can and still drive the bus. And toward that goal this year, we've done something. We've got cameras on all our buses now, which is going to greatly aid in when we have issues to identify where the issue was, and there's really no doubt that it was an issue and needs to be corrected. Getting back to the bus drivers, we're actively recruiting bus drivers now. They have to pass a background check, of course. It's generated by their fingerprints. They have about a 44-hour extensive training program, which includes hands-on with a licensed bus driver, before they can ever haul a student. And it's a really good training program. I guess our training program is probably the best in the state.
And we do that in-house.
In-house, we actually, if people come in with a regular driver's license, we'll take them from that point through the training process to get a P&S endorsement, which is passenger and school bus, which will enable them to operate a school bus.
Okay.
And if you know of anyone out there that would like to have a good job, we really need good people. Of course, we like all people that are good and pass a background check, and we especially like those that have vested interest in our school district, that maybe our grandparents or identify in some way with students that are in our system. We've got a number of retired people that have already been successful in other careers that step out and want to do something else. Plus, it's better than the average part-time job. I guess they average about 25 to 30 hours a week, and they have full benefits package, which is state retirement and a health benefits package, and the starting salary is $13.57 an hour. So it's a fairly attractive part-time job, but it's extremely responsible part-time job.
It is. And we always say, that's the first person a student sees.
Absolutely. It's the first.
They get on that first adult that the student sees connected to the school day, and the last person
Set the tone
perhaps.
for the entire day when the student gets on the bus. If it's a happy face and a greeting and a happy environment, the student will usually carry that well into the day, and that's what we try to instill in our people, that whatever's on your mind, you got to leave it behind when you get on a bus. It's just like any other endeavor that takes a lot of concentration. You need to be totally focused on operating that bus safely. And safety is what we live by. We breathe it first thing in the morning, last thing in the afternoon, and all in between. The only thing that I got zero tolerance for is an unsafe act. We yield in every way to safety. None of our buses ever leave the compound unless they're 100% ready to go. And we have 10 mechanics that keep those 248 buses rolling. And it's an expensive endeavor and timely. It takes a lot of time to do that. But we don't use any secondhand parts. It's all new parts. And the buses are inspected routinely.
Let's talk about that a little bit more so our parents and our viewers understand. And we'll talk about safety as far as your role in safety as well, Allison. But first of all, let's talk about the mechanics and what their role is as far as getting that bus ready. You said you don't use anything secondhand. State law requires a certain amount of inspections and maintenance and that sort of thing.
Exactly. The buses undergo a state inspection one time a year, which is a bumper to bumper. Everything's inspected, tie rod ends, transmission, everything. And then on a 4 to 6 week period, depending on the mileage put on the buses are brought in and usually spend several hours inspecting everything on the bus, the brakes, the lights, the various systems on the bus, anything that might have been noticed by the driver that needs to be fixed. And we do that in between the AM routes and the PM routes. And it's something that it's ongoing, anywhere from 10 to 12 buses a day. And that enables us to identify things that need to be changed before they become an issue, hopefully. When you're operating 248 buses, and because of the economics of running school transportation, we keep our buses 15 years. So that being said, when a vehicle has been running for 10, 12, 13 years, it does require many new parts and quite a bit more maintenance than a bus that's 2 or 3 years old. Fortunately, our fleet's getting younger because we are buying over the replacement number for buses each year, trying to update our fleet.
We're doing a good job with that, working with the county commission and trying to make sure that our buses are as safe as possible. Regarding safety, Allison, with you consider that as you are creating those bus routes as well, and the way you analyze roads and road conditions.
Yes, and the bus stop locations. We want to have safe bus stop locations, but also to keep in mind that it is our district goal to have reduced stops inside subdivisions. So students of all ages may walk up to a quarter mile to their bus stop if they live inside a subdivision. Of course, if they're on a rural road, main road, sometimes even the main drag into the subdivision, that street will be pretty busy. We will pick those students up at home.
Okay.
Sounds like a lot, but it's only a quarter of a mile is only 440 yards. So it's one time around a track on the outside of a football field. So it is something that we do, and we watch it very, very closely. And that area right around the bus that Allison's referring to, where she makes the stops, she'll yield to safety issues. When they safety issues, it might not be exactly a quarter of a mile, or it might be a little bit over a quarter of a mile, but she tries to take into consideration any vegetation, all the other things that might affect the safety of that route. And while we're in that area, let me say this about safety. Anytime you see a school bus, a yellow school bus, just take for granted that these kids are around somewhere. They're on the sidewalk, or they're in front of the bus, or they're getting off the bus, or they're getting on the bus. Yield to those vehicles. The worst nightmare of all of us is that something happens when children are getting on and off the bus. During the year, any number of times, many times, we have people to run the stop sign.
Yes.
Stop sign means that there's not only kids getting off the bus, but they're going to cross the street. So we can't say enough, especially in everywhere, but especially in the subdivisions. Take that issue to your subdivisions, take it to your homeowners association. Tell them the same things that I've told you, that when that yellow bus is around, kids are somewhere close. So yield to that bus. The safety and getting those kids home and off that bus and home safely and to school safely is everybody's responsibility. The homeowners as well as the parents as well as us.
Let's talk about when that stop sign comes out.
Okay?
You're not supposed to drive around.
No, absolutely
You're
not.
not supposed to drive.
You're supposed to stop. If you're behind the bus, you're supposed to stop. If you're meeting the bus, you're supposed to stop. You're supposed to stay stopped until that sign is retracted and the lights go off. The bus driver will try when students are crossing to make eye contact with the students and nod that the stop sign's out and she's seen everything she can see, he can see, and it's stopped. They have stopped. That's not 100%. Everyone else still has to look. But the key thing is when that bus is around, stop or be prepared to stop, because children are somewhere around it. And you can just...
And they may dart out. They may drop a backpack. They
yeah.
could do all sorts of different things.
Yeah,
Because
they
they're
sure
kids,
do. And
so.
a lot of times they'll get on the sidewalk and the bus will pull off, and shortly after the bus pulls off, they'll dart out in the street for whatever.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important. When you see those buses in those subdivisions, just slow down. Nothing is that important. So I can't emphasize that enough. I get passionate about it, but
You do. But we have to be passionate about
absolutely,
safety. So.
it's something that we all have to get vested into, and we all have to do it.
Another thing along those lines, Allison, is as you're creating those bus routes, the drivers actually will go out and drive their bus on the route and then communicate back with you if they see any issues or.
Yes, they do. They have the opportunity, especially if they have a new route for the year, to go out before school starts. I know we've got a couple that are going out in the next couple of weeks to drive their routes, and if they have any issues, they're going to get back with us, absolutely. And on regarding to the stop locations, sometimes they may be closer together because of the number of students getting on the stop. We will create another stop because we want, safety first.
Well, this is what everybody wants to know, Allison.
Yes.
When are we going to find out? When can we find out about our bus routes?
Well, the bus routes will be on the website. You go to wcs.edu, and then we have a tab for bus routes and school zones. And when you click on that, and there's 3 boxes with different information, but on the left is the zone query button. You click on the zone query button, and then you type in your home street address. All schools for that address will display, and once you click on the school code, that will take you to the 2 closest bus stops to your location. If you live on a rural road and there's not a stop at your house, you need to call myself or the transportation office so we can get that taken care of.
And what number would that be to call?
Well, my number is 472-4111, and the transportation main number is 472-4950.
We encourage families to go ahead and take a look at those bus routes before that first day of school.
Absolutely.
They're not going to change. Everything's ready to go. We've double checked all the bus numbers, so you don't have to wait until August the 8th to look.
Okay.
You can look now.
Please go ahead and take a look now.
Absolutely, and for the younger students or the first-time student, or the kindergartners will be coming on board later, I think the 16th through the 19th. But identify their possessions. It's a good thing to put a little name tag on them of who they are and where they live. The school tries to work and do that the first day of school, but anything the parents can do to be a part of that will certainly help out, because those very little ones, very young ones, this is probably the first time they've been away from mom and dad and away from home by themselves, so to speak, even though they've 50 people around them on the school bus in their life. So it's a very traumatic thing, and we want to make it as seamless as possible for those young people, and the way to do that is to have something that identifies them and where they live, and it's very important. It makes the first few days go extremely smooth.
Parents are welcome at a bus stop?
Absolutely, we encourage it. We encourage it. If I was a parent today, which I've been a parent, but I would certainly try to set up some kind of system where I would do it a day or two, and someone else would do it a day or two. But it's really great that adults that live in the neighborhood and have children in school and children that ride the bus come and meet the bus. And when we drive off, they're basically out of our control. And when we get a certain distance from them, we can't see them anymore. So it's always a good thing to have a parent or a neighbor to meet that bus and direct those children to where they need to go. And
let's go back to the web query again and talk about, because sometimes people get in there and it looks different to them, and maybe they get nervous about, oh, this isn't telling me exactly what I need to know. Sometimes when you're typing in an address, it might give you a choice, or you may type in boulevard or place or whatever. Let's troubleshoot some things that parents might run into.
When you type in that street address, if it comes back no address found, you can try just putting in, like, instead of Grassland Avenue, just put in Grassland, and then the selection underneath will come up. And that way, if it's just a minor misspelling, or you don't know if it's drive, street, or lane, you can then
you'll have some
select
choices.
Yes, you can select what's in our system.
Okay.
And one other thing he brought up kindergarten parents, just because they've marked on their forms or online registration that they're going to be bus riders, that information may not have gotten to us, so they still need to check web query ahead of time. And if they don't have a bus stop available for them, then they certainly need to call or email our offices.
Okay. Let's go through that one more time. You also said, though, that when you go in there, you'll see 2 bus stops. Is that new, or has that always been that way?
I believe we started that last year when we did, or the year before when we did the bus stop consolidation. That way, if you're in a subdivision, it's going to come up with the closest 2 stops. It doesn't matter to us which one you want to go to.
Okay.
But you need to go to that stop consistently every day.
All right. So you need to, if you have a choice, you actually have a choice. You can choose,
Yeah.
perhaps, but you need to make sure you choose one.
That's correct.
And that's really, again, another safety measure.
Absolutely.
So that the bus driver knows whether to expect you or not.
exactly.
And just to make sure, I don't know, it is a tough job, and trying to keep up with all those
Keep
students
up with where
and knowing
where they need to be, and the bus drivers get to know the people that are normally there. They even get to where they recognize vehicles of people that's coming to meet their children. That enables them to also recognize strange vehicles in people that are not normally there. And they do, and as soon as they do that, they radio in to the dispatchers, and we take appropriate action, whatever the situation dictates. While we're mentioning things, if I might move, I know we're running tight on time.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Inclement weather. Let's talk a little bit about inclement weather, because last year we didn't have any, and that's a good thing. But very few winter seasons go by that we don't have some kind of inclement weather, either ice or snow. We try our best in conjunction with communications to monitor those things. The director of schools has a call to make based on the information he gets from many different people within the school system, myself being one of them. And we try to make that call of whether or not we're going to have school the next day, the day before, if at all possible.
Yes, we try.
We really try to. Now, unfortunately, we're in that area of the country where the jet stream is usually 50 miles north of us or 50 miles south of us on any given day, or somewhere in between. That determines where that jet stream is, determines whether you're going to have rain or whether you're going to have frozen precip of some kind. That's why it is so difficult to make these calls here, because usually that line is within 25 miles of dissecting our county. And but the times that we can, you be assured that if we can, we will make those decisions, and the director of school will make the proper decision based on the.
And we will do our best to call you the night before. We
Well,
use Facebook and Twitter. We use every method possible that we
Absolutely.
can to reach out. Sometimes Mother Nature does not cooperate.
Absolutely.
And that is the worst case, isn't it, John?
It
when
is.
it comes in at 5 o'clock in the morning,
When
and
it-
your bus drivers are already getting on the roads,
Right,
getting ready.
they're starting their buses and staging, and all of a sudden here comes the snow. Well, guess what? We gotta change plans.
Got to make a decision and quickly
And
That's right.
try to if we got them already on the buses, we got to try to get them already back home. I mean, back home as quickly as possible. But we will make the appropriate announcements. Another thing to give some consideration to the daycare that you're going to have when schools are closed. It's a totally different environment. A lot of times when schools are closed, the daycare at schools is also closed.
Right.
Not all the time, but
Sometimes
a lot
it
of the
is, you're
time.
right.
So you should always make arrangements that someone will be there if you need someone there to do the daycare or to be with the children when they're not at school.
And the worst is early dismissal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
When we have to call and say, okay, the snow's coming, we're going to dismiss early, or whatever, ice is coming, we're dismissing early, and then the bus drivers are concerned about dropping the children off at their
And
home.
I think
So,
our connector, Ed, will go 2 numbers deep on it, won't it?
it's
go,
6. It'll go 6 numbers. So
6
we
numbers,
call
so-
everybody. So make sure you
Put
have your
workplace
information,
number in there.
Work, cell, grandmother, aunts,
So,
uncles.
because if
we
you're
call a lot of people.
if you work in Nashville, that's probably the only chance you're going to have at your work to get the information that school's closing at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock or whatever the situation may be.
Right.
So be sure that they got that work number is one of the drop-down numbers.
That's right. That's right. Allison, let's give Web Query one more plug, if you would, so that we encourage our families to go check out their bus routes.
It's wcs.edu is our district website. Go under bus routes and school zones, and over on the left box, click on Zone Query, type in your home street address, click on the school code of the school your child will be attending, and your closest bus stops will then display.
Our first half day in Williamson County
the
Schools
9th,
is
I'm sorry.
Friday. It's a Friday.
That's right.
August the 9th, and then our first full day is going to be Monday, August the 12th.
Right.
That's correct.
But buses will run on that half day.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm glad we came because I'd have been very mad when no buses was out on the 6th. And I'd have been the only one around that didn't know they weren't supposed to be around.
It's a good thing we did this program.
Absolutely.
right.
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I know you always hope for a safe
Startup.
safe startup, and one more plug for bus drivers. Who can they call? If you
They
need-
can
if you
go
want a
on
job.
they can go on the school system website and go to Human Resources, and they'll have an area for job posting, career opportunities. We have online applications. That's the only way we'll take an application is online. So if you would like to be a bus driver, fill out that online application and send it, and I'll assure you someone will be calling you within probably a week to 10 days at the longest, and probably sooner than that.
Okay.
We will get you in a class and get you through school, and it's an enjoyment. I mean, you'll get involved with the students, involved with the things they do.
It's a
chance.
great opportunity. We're out of time. Thank you both for being here, and thank you for joining us for Education 101.
Hi, I'm Vince Gill. Did you know that car accidents are the #1 cause of death in young people ages 16 to 20? As alarming as that is, there's something we can do about it. If you just take a simple pledge, it'll help keep your families and your friends safer while you're out on the road. I pledge to wear my seatbelt every time I ride in a vehicle and make sure that others in my vehicle are protected as well. Well, that's it. Come on and join the thousands that have already taken this pledge. Don't be a statistic, be the clear.